بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، وأفضل الصلاة وأتم التسليم على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. اللهم علمنا ما ينفعنا وانفعنا بما علمتنا وزدنا علما. اللهم لا سهل إلا ما جعلته سهلا، وأنت تجعل الحزن إذا شئت سهلا. سبحانك لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم. لله تبارك وتعالى. I praise Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala. I thank Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala. I ask Allah to send countless blessings and salutations on Sayyiduna Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, his family, his companions, and all those who follow them in excellence until the day of judgment. And I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to grant us the sincere intention. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned in the Quran, Inna ad-deena inda Allahi al-Islam. Allah mentioned in the Quran that the religion that is accepted to Him subhanahu wa ta'ala is al-Islam. And He said, اليوم أكملت لكم دينكم وأتممت عليكم نعمتي ورضيت لكم الإسلام دينا. This day I have completed for you your religion, or I have perfected your religion and completed my favor upon you. And I accept for you Islam as a religion. And Allah mentioned, وَمَن يَبْتَغِي غَيْرَ الْإِسْلَامِ دِينًا فَلَن يُقْبَلَ مِنْهُ وَهُوَ فِي الْآخِرَةِ مِنَ الْخَاسِرِينَ. That whoever desires a religion, a way of life other than Islam, it will not be accepted for him. Is the voice clear? Sister Eleanor says she doesn't have a voice. Is the voice clear for everyone? Then, Sister Eleanor, maybe you need to log in and log back out. Everyone has a clear voice. Allah. MashaAllah. And the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam mentioned that there is no Christian or Jew who hears of me, and what I've been sent with, except that person, and then does not believe in me, except that he would be a companion of the hellfire. With these verses and the hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, we understand something, that all of us must strive to maintain our Islam. If one was a non-Muslim and one was morally responsible, then that person needs to embrace Islam. and remain steadfast upon that to death. And if one is a Muslim, then one must remain as a Muslim, never leaving al-Islam. And that in and of itself is going to take a lot of effort on our part, especially in the time we live in. There are a lot of challenges to maintain our Islam. There are many, many challenges to maintain our Islam. After having faith in Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala and His Messenger, among the greatest challenges that we face is learning our religion. Learning our religion. When we were talking about yesterday in our reading from the summary of the Ihya, Imam al-Ghazali was talking about purification, what needs to be purified, the means of doing it, the kayfiyah, how to do it. So we have the obligation of purifying ourselves. We need to know what things we need to purify ourselves from, the things we need to use to purify ourselves, and how to do it. I was thinking about that. And so, for instance, we need to purify ourselves from a najasa, urine, feces, for instance. We do that with pure water. How we do it? By pouring that water over it till all of its traces are removed. Then I was thinking about that in context of preserving our Islam. When we were studying Sulam al-Tawfiq, among the first lines of the book is that the author, he said, يجب على كافة المكلفين الدخول في الدين الإسلام والثبوت فيه على الدوام والتزام ما لزم عليه من الأحكام. That it's obligatory on every morally responsible individual to embrace the religion of Islam, to remain steadfast upon it, and to comply with its rules. That's an obligation. يجب على كافة المكلفين. It's an obligation. We have to do it. But as Imam al-Ghazali indicated, what is necessary to fulfill that obligation? We have the obligation of purification, but what do we need to have in place in order to do it? So likewise, within knowledge, what do we have to have in place? So you need basically two main things and then other things added. To learn, you need to have knowledge, or the knowledge itself. So the knowledge needs to be accessible. How are you going to learn if there's nothing to learn? So you need the knowledge. And that's why Imam al-Ghazali started out his Ihya talking about knowledge. There's no knowledge to learn. What are you going to learn? You need knowledge. Then, not only knowledge, because that's a general term. What type of knowledge? What do I have to learn among knowledge? What do I have to learn? What types of knowledge and when and how? Right? There is a saying of the scholars, they said, whoever is occupied with the obligations to the extent that they cannot fulfill the optional deeds, they are excused. So that person is occupied with fulfilling obligations, and they could never do, because of that, they don't get to do optional deeds, then they are excused. And the one who is occupied with optional deeds but neglects to fulfill the obligations due to that, then this person is deluded, meaning this person is sinful. And oftentimes, when knowledge is brought to us, it's not explained to us what knowledge is obligatory and which knowledge is optional. So oftentimes, we may be engaged religiously with optional deeds while neglecting obligations and never even realizing that's what we're doing. Just because we weren't taught the how you go about learning. Weren't taught that. So what we understand from that, to learn how, you need a teacher. You need a teacher. And in order to benefit from a teacher, you need to be a student. You need to be a student. So you need knowledge, you need a teacher, and you need a student. And all of them have a role. Knowledge has a role, a teacher has a role, and a student has a role. But even when we learn about a teacher and a student, we don't learn how to be a teacher and how to be a student. What are the etiquettes of the teacher and what are the etiquettes of a student? And when am I being a good teacher or a good student? Or when am I being a bad teacher or a bad student? And what are the signs of that? I'll give you a sign of a bad teacher. The teacher teaches according to the desire of the student. That's a bad teacher. In other words, the student tells the teacher what to teach, and the teacher complies with that. Imagine you're a school teacher and you have students and you come with your lesson plan and the students say, we don't want to learn it today, teach this. How many are you going to accept? You come to your class, you have your lesson plans laid out, and then the students say, hey, I don't want to learn that. We want to watch Sesame Street today. We don't want to do math or reading. We want Sesame Street. And I want you to teach us the characters on Sesame Street and tell us the history of Sesame Street. We don't realize sometimes we have teachers who do that, and we have students who demand that of teachers within the religion. The same thing. So if we have teachers like that and students like that, then what's going to happen? Knowledge is not going to be acquired. It's not. And if knowledge is not acquired, then it's almost impossible for us to consciously preserve our religion, because we won't even know what our religion is. Right? We're not even going to know what religion is because we didn't learn properly. So it's important that we start to learn how to learn in order that we preserve our Islam, that we are commanded to embrace, to remain steadfast, and to die upon that. وَلَا تَمُوتُنَّ إِلَّا وَأَنْتُمْ مُسْلِمُونَ. So while we're learning the religion, we need to learn what we need to learn, how we need to learn it, when we need to learn it, what we need to avoid, how we need to avoid it, and when we need to avoid it. That's extremely important for all of us. So I would like us to really, really take our time and get in the process of relearning. It may not apply to everyone, but I believe it applies to far too many of us. We haven't learned properly. And when I mean properly, I don't mean how much. I don't mean that. I'm not talking about how much you know. Even what you know, did you learn that properly to ensure that it's beneficial, right? So, for instance, yesterday I had a conversation with a person, and that person was being censored about an issue. And it wasn't an issue to be censored. In reality, it wasn't an issue to be censored. But the person that was censoring them only knew one thing and never really learned properly to evaluate different aspects of the sacred law. So if that person would have known, at best, that person would have said, from what I understand, it is this case. But there may be other things to look at. You should look at it instead of censoring, right? From what I learned, I understand this to be this way. But there may be other ways that that could be approached, and you should check it out, because from what I know, that's not correct. Not censoring, right? Don't censor them. Just tell them what you understand. And all the evidences that the person was using were short-sighted. Every single proof. I was like, so the stuff you're talking about you're missing the points related to what you're talking about. So relax. That doesn't mean you shouldn't have shared your idea, but not in a way as if your idea was authoritative, right? So it made me think that we have a lot of learning to do. And by the way, with that being said, please, I would like all of you to put this up. There is no one on the face of the earth who's not censored by someone else, whether justly or unjustly, or unjustly, or unjustly. There is no one on the planet Earth that is not censored by someone else, whether that censoring is just or unjust. Please share, put that up. Because there's something in it that I want you to grab. There is no one on the face of the earth that is not censored by someone else, either justly or unjustly. I want you to keep this in your mind. What do we understand from that? That we all need to learn, even if we know. That we all need to learn, even if we know. I woke up this morning and a well-known scholar in the Middle East, was before Fajr, he made a post and he put on his Facebook page. And if I'm not mistaken, he had over 1,000 comments, many of them censoring him for what he posted. And I thought about something when I was looking at that, right? I said, wow, yeah, almost 2,000 comments. It's increasing, right? And I said to myself, this is a sign, right? That no matter who you are, somebody's going to censor you, whether justly or unjustly. I don't care who you are. So for us, we should always realize that we always have more to learn. And even when we know, there may be other aspects that we don't know of what we know. We know, but there are other aspects of the thing we know that we're not aware of. And with that, we'll give each other the opportunity to grow as a community, right? We'll give each other the opportunity to grow. And one of the things I learned from my teachers is that I may be right, I may be wrong. Sometimes, like, there's the little things that mean a lot. My teacher would always say, I may be right, I may be wrong. And he would be right most of the time, but he was teaching us something. We've only been given a little bit of knowledge, no matter how much we know. Isn't that the whole story of Musa and Al-Qadr in Surah Kahf? The same story. So let us all be humble with what we know and always eager to expand upon what we know. I guess that's my point. Let us be humble in what we know and always eager to expand upon what we know. Can we put that? Let us be humble in what we know and eager to expand upon what we know. Yeah, that's an important concept. I have an approach. I don't know if y'all noticed that. Let me ask you a question. Let me see how perceptive y'all are. There's a question. Go for it. I'm just interested. You've been listening to me for a while. What are my routes of learning? Where I learn from? What methodologies do I follow? I wanted to see how perceptive you are. Did you notice something about me? We've been together for a long time. Have you figured me out yet? Where you at, brown man? What's my methodology? Mm, okay. Qualified teacher, chain of narration, studious student, teachers, research, Shafri, you love him at my dad, Sheikh Samir. Okay. You follow Ashari Akida, Fiqh, Alawi Tasawwuf. It's all over the place, huh? I'll tell you what I do. You're all right. From my experience, I don't follow anybody. I want you to understand that. I follow methodologies. I don't follow people. I benefit from people, but I don't follow people. I follow methodologies. What does that mean when I say I don't follow anyone? Because of what I just told you. Everyone, everyone, everyone has things that can be censored. So when I say I don't follow anyone, I don't blind follow anyone, right? But I benefit from everyone that has something beneficial, right? While maintaining the methodology of Ahl Sunnati wal Jama'ah. Because what I've learned in my life is that everybody has something good. I mean, among the people of Ahl Sunnati wal Jama'ah, right? And everyone has a special thing that they possess that others don't possess, right? So, for instance, everyone has their specialization, right? Everyone has their specialization. And no one is a jack of all trades. And being a master, what I mean by that. So even if a person thinks they're a jack of all trades, they're really not. They're an amateur in some things, not really good. So our teachers taught us, take specific knowledge from its people. Take specific knowledge from its people. In other words, this person may be good in the Quran, but horrible in Hadith. And this person may be good in Arabic, but horrible in religious knowledge, but excellent in Arabic, but don't know the rules of the religion. This person may be a good Sufi, but horrible in creed. So outwardly, you will look at them spiritual, but they may have mistakes in the areas of Aqidah. Or they have issues that you can't follow. They're masters of the science of tasawwuf. But some of the things they say is not permissible for you to listen to. And if you listen to those things, you might fall into disbelief. Not that person, you. Weird, right? They're masters, no doubt. But if you follow them and what they're doing, you will fall into disbelief. So what you learn is, and we need this as a people, especially us, we need to learn a foundational understanding of the deen, and then from the experts, take from their expertise in their fields. And you would miss out on a whole lot, Abdullah. You said that type of Sufi, I wouldn't take anything from, and you would miss out on a whole lot. Seriously. If you don't take nothing but his gaze, that's sufficient for you. I'm sharing this point with you. If you didn't take nothing but his gaze, that would be sufficient for you. You don't have to take no knowledge, just his gaze. But if you missed his gaze, you may miss a lot. You didn't hear me. Let me repeat what I said. Listen well. I said he may be fantastic, excellent at tasawwuf. He may be a Sufi master. But if you took from his words, those words would make you a blasphemer. You, not him. Do you understand what I mean? Did you understand what I said? Is it clear now with the wrong Aqidah? If you try to speak in his tongue, you would commit blasphemy. And that's why many people read the works of the people of Allah and they consider them kuffar. When in actuality, they're not kuffar. It's just above your rank and level. So, but just the gaze from that person is beneficial. Just the gaze, just them to look at you, sufficient. And I'm not speaking about an individual. I'm giving you an overall case because there are many individuals like that. Right? Just the gaze from them. Just a gaze. That's it. But if you listen to them and you listen to their words, you will misunderstand. I'm not saying you may, you will misunderstand big time. Because you're not from that selection of people. Now, the people of his tongue and the people of his state and the people of his experience, now they may have a different right? They may have a whole different look. I'll give you a story. One of my teachers told me to read a particular book from a particular scholar. He said, you could do it. So my teacher, I listened. I read the book and I immediately realized this is way above my pay grade. And I went back to my teacher. I said, I can't read this. It's way, way outside my pay grade. He said, yes, you can. Go back. So I went back. And when I went back, I got a different feeling, but the same understanding. The same understanding. This is above my pay grade. But I did understand why he said read it. After the second time. It was way above my pay grade. Still above my pay grade. But I understood what he was teaching me. So I benefited greatly. Greatly I benefited. And from that, it opened the door for me for many things. To this day, I'm like, wow, that was deep education. To this day, right? But had I would have took my approach, which was the same what you mentioned, man, honestly, I was like, man, this stuff is but if I wouldn't have listened, to this day, the stuff I'm able to do today, I would have never reached it. Right? Seriously. I would have never been able to benefit from some of the stuff I benefit from today if I wouldn't have took that lesson. Right? And it opened up the door to learn things that I would have never even thought about seeking out. And what was less than that would have been rejected by me had I not been exposed to that. What was less than that would have been rejected. That's why people don't like tasawwuf. They don't understand. I'm saying that's why people, and I'm with you, Abdullah. I got you. I understand what you're saying. Don't think I'm feeding off you, right? That's why a lot of people don't like tasawwuf. They don't understand, right? They don't understand. It's not that tasawwuf is bad. It's just you don't understand, right? And that's fine because you're not around its people, right? And that's with every science. Do you follow my point? That's with every science, every Islamic science. Every Islamic science has its people. That's my point. And those people are not restricted to one group or one madhab or one area. It's not. And none of this great scholars were like that. All of the great scholars understood this point, that there was benefit in different people from different areas, different signs, different sciences. That's how it works. And fanaticism will make you forget that, right? I had a person tell me, my sheikh is bigger than such and such a sheikh. I said, what? I knew the person sheikh. And that sheikh of that person happened to be one of my teachers. I said, what did you just say? My sheikh is bigger than this particular sheikh. And I looked at the person, I said, there's not even a comparison between the two. Stop being so fanatical. There's not even a comparison between the two. In no field, right? In no field. Relax. Expand your mind and your education. That is something that I learned a while ago, and that's my methodology. I listen. I'm Shafi'i. I'm Ash'ari. I follow the way of Tasawwuf. However, within that, there's an ocean of approaches. You know what I said? I'm Shafi'i in fiqh. I'm Ash'ari in Aqidah. I follow the path of Tasawwuf. Within that, there is an ocean of approaches, an ocean all around the world. Don't stick yourself in a pond. Do you hear what I said? Don't stick yourself in a pond. There's an ocean. There's an ocean. Within Shafi'i fiqh, there's an ocean. And we need that. We need to learn how to swim, of course, but we also need to realize there's an ocean. Especially when we deal with each other. What did he mean by bigger? Are you talking about the sheikh issue? Fanatic. You know the old saying, the one who never traveled think his mother's the best cook? That stuff. Right? The one who never traveled thinks their mother is the best cook. The one who never met other sheikhs think their sheikh is the best sheikh. Right? So don't be like that. Because what we have to do, the job that we have to do, we need to be flexible in our approaches. And we need to see that there are different ways to do things. And they all can be right. All right, I'm going to come to a close, but I'm going to answer Isa. I'm sticking to it, Isa. The sisters need to make brothers step up. Stop letting them off the hook. I'm not going to bend on that. Listen, it's okay to be broke. It's okay not have a lot of money. But just force that state on another sister because you lazy and you don't want to do better for yourself is not acceptable. And I don't think we should be telling our sisters to accept that just because it might be hard for you to get a man. No, you still need to be responsible. This is a whole nother conversation. Right? We're not helping our community by making men boys. We're not. Seriously. We have to man up. All right. So that was my answer to Isa. Really, you don't have to have a bunch of money. That's not life. But you have to be progressive. Period. That's it. That's all I'm saying. That you have to be progressive. Sisters, do y'all understand that? I know some of the brothers who want to just be falling short. They cool with that. But I'm talking about sisters, man. Don't settle for just junk. You will regret it later. Ask them hundreds of sisters who regret it later. If he's allowed to sit on your couch, that's what he's going to do in the masjid. He's going to just sit on the rug. He ain't going to do nothing. He's used to going home and doing nothing. So why he's going to come to masjid and do something? Why he's going to do something in the community? It's not. He can stay home and just relax because he's your baby. It's your baby. That's my baby. He don't have to do anything. La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. May Allah help us. All right, y'all. I'm out of here before we go to a whole nother thing. We got other stuff to do. Inshallah, may Allah make it easy. Inshallah, we got to go to post-Fajr reflections, inshallah. Barakallahu bikum. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh.